Start to feel more rather than less. So there's some themes I want to continue with that have been, as I told you a while back, I was been watching some teaching of Biggest Anger from his 75th birthday, and I'm still working through a whole bunch of it and will for a good long time. But remember, one of the themes that for me was really big, and it's I'm getting, you hear the same thing over and over again, and the longer you practice, when you hear them again, it goes to a different place, right? But the idea that that the organs of perception should be separated, or can be, so I always go like stopping around the temples, the jaw, the inside of the mountain. I kind of go through it like they're all leading to the same place, right? You're trying to quickly get to where your brain's not too active, that it's being in a more passive state, which allows for a deeper integration into your body with your life force, right? But part of what I was trying to highlight one of the times before was when he said, so your ears need to be receptive and your eyes passive. Remember, and the ears being receptive led to a whole bunch of things that, like, I think it was Terry said, well, in music therapy, your skin is an ear, right? Like your skin is maybe seen as a gigantic interaction where things come in it and through, and it's very receptive. Like you pick up a drum beat in the background, right? But isn't that, so your skin is picking up a whole bunch of interaction. And the tenets, and then he also says, when I kind of mentioned this instruction before, I think I did, and if I didn't, it's coming now. You have to learn to separate the floor of your brain. So, right, he says right about at the eyebrows, the floor of your brain from the electrical activity of your eyes. That there's a space in there. What? Okay. But think about, like, I'm looking out and it's fall and there's a lot of colors and there's a lot of stimulus coming at me, right? It's not that I'm supposed to close my eyes yet, but the seer, the observer. So when he says, when you got to separate the floor of your brain from the electrical activity of your eyes or impulses, he says, when the brain then shifts into that silence, that opens the door to intelligence, what he's saying is intelligence, moving through the whole body. So when he's figuring out alignment cues and pranic instructions that you and I could never really have done, it's because he, as he implied in this thing, he's going to that place where the floor of his brain is separating from the stimulus from the outer world. And it's so the idea that you can separate organs of perception. They're different sensations. It's really important. So I've heard it other ways, like connect the empty spaces of your ears. But I never thought about, and this is what I'm thinking about Liz's comment about Shavasana. It's like there's an intelligence, a relief that's waiting to cascade through your body. That's what he's trying to say, that will show you alignment if you can listen. So as you keep your eyes passive, your ears receptive, and then you go to that spot about your eyebrows. And as soon as you do that, if you heard those other instructions, like I get it, like I can see how that's similar to deflating your cheeks, right? There's a whole bunch of things that start happening. So Keep exhaling. There's a hum here. And one of the core actions in asana is to make the hum, give it a little bit of direction in your body by lifting your chest. So start the transformation from the dropping to the filling. Exhale to find your sitting bones. Exhale to find your feet. The brain descends down as the core energy rises. And there's a balance. The brain is submerging, so the life force fills. I've heard him say a couple times that the color of the energy of the brain is bluish. I don't know, just take it for the description. And the rise in your chest is more like ember. Subjugate or submerge the blue into the flame as you lift your chest. Keep the inside of your mouth soft. Listen with all of your ear, your entire skin. Reach out and feel the space behind you. But it's not reaching, it's receiving. You don't reach with perception, you receive. There's more happening here than you know. It may be more profound than you know. So balance your head over your neck. Lips together, teeth slightly apart. Expand in space by remaining rooted. If you want to, bring your hands into prayer, into the midline. Buttress the midline. It rises, right? So your hands go together, but it's the center of your chest making contact. And you start to make the pressure and you expand your fingers and your palms. And you're congruent with the rise. Now, what's great is if I were to come and squeeze on each side of your hands and squeeze near where the wrist hits the hand, you would get a rise, but you would feel a cascading drop of energy down to your base. And it's a good time to breathe. The vessel is already filling. Then your breath gets to have a rhythm in there. So you expand on inhalation and you extend on exhalation. You're coming to honor the happening. Let go of your day. Prepare your mind to do yoga. Stay patient. Repose. Rehappen. Good. And then release your hands down to your thighs, palms up. Palms up so you can listen with the palm of your hands. So you can touch the empty space in the palm of your hands. It's harder to notice the back of your hands, by the way. For me, at least. Sternum's up with clarity. Chin is dropped. It's very simple here. The happening part. Good. And then release. Look up. Right? So again, we better move a little bit, right? But we're moving in a way to inform the quiet. So you're kind of like just kind of making things move and shifting gravity and doing all these things and making a little bit of traction in your back, because you're making sure that the felt space, right? The felt space becomes part of the quiet, right? The singularity that's here isn't here because you make it small. It's here even if you open, right? And then take one arm up, and I think the intercostal muscles matter a lot. So I'm always trying to get these open here, because it's the fingers of my spine, right? It's like spreading your hand. Like spread your ribs, right? Spread your ribs. Come forward. Come back. Cat cow. Everybody loves a good cat cow, right? It's almost a go-to for everybody. Right? How come? Right? It's a good go-to. Are you stiff in your back? Is that why you go to cat cow? Do you use cat cow to make heat sometimes? Or to open up and stretch? Right? How many ways could you use cat cow? How many pathways could it open in a practice? Right? Your couple of launching poses should be able to go a lot of different ways. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, revolve. Here's the twist. We're just following Amanda's practice right now. Right? What the hell is she doing this for? I think I get it. Get down with the sitting bones. Extend from the inner groin to the inner knee. Down to the heels. Lift the chest. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, revolve. Feels kind of good to ring that spine a little bit. Come back to center. Other hand up. Other hand over. Right? Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. So now how does your 5 minutes turn into a half hour? What do you do? Right? Well, I'm guessing your 5 minutes doesn't turn into a half hour that often, because you lose track of what to do, right? If you can, bring your hands together, right? If you can't, have your hands on your lap, right? But I want pressure on your forearms, right? And so I want you to, one of the instructions that, I'm trying to think of how you could do this if you can't interlock your hands. This idea of, so, and I'm trying to think, you could do this even like this, I think, but when you have your hands together, if you're able to do it and you push the webs of your fingers together, like the webs in, you're kind of like setting up for headstand, right? Right. And it's easy to think that you should do that from here, right? And he does this weird thing where he says, entwine the fingers. Don't just push them together. How would you entwine the fingers? Right? How would you make them reach past and through? Right? So it's not just the collision between the webs, right? How would you take even a position like this? And how would you entwine your hands? Doesn't just say push them together. He says entwine them. What the heck's he talking about? Can you do it from your tricep and bicep? Right? Try to entwine them, not at the point of contact, but from how you're working your arms. Anyone feel the change in their fingers? Lift the chest. Another big part of entwining. So now I don't know about you, and I'm going to release. And it's hard to, once you start doing yogic stuff, it's hard to do it without yoga, right? If I just go like this and do it again like I would without thinking about it, I would be deadened. Like the light's not here the same way. If I take the time to come in and do something like entwine, I start hearing more of my whole body. Not just because I'm entwining with the muscles. I start to feel it cascading all over my whole body. Just because I'm paying attention to this little thing. Intelligence. Right? It's interesting what I think he's calling intelligence. All right. So now we've done this before, and try to remember with asana, with inversions, you're trying to move energy from your head down to your feet. And in a way, a traditional inversion puts you in the frying pan. So it makes you move energy from your base up to your feet, but you're upside down. So you have more resistance. So you can actually, it's louder. Problem with doing inversions when you're sitting up is that they're much more subtle. Okay, so we're back to the entwining, right? So you can do it on your lap too, right? So you're trying to figure out how your hands come together. And remember all these crazy instructions. So I'm watching him teach headstand, right? And he talks about like feel on your forearm, the bone kind of lumps out a little bit. But there's a place where the bone is kind of bowed a little bit. You're right. So feel that on both arms, right? And then place your forearms on the table or on your thighs. And he says, flatten that bone. In other words, lift the bone up as the forearm descends. So one of the ways a beginner does headstand, and they get really heavy and they compress their neck, they actually just think their forearms are holding them up. They have to push down to go up. It's way deeper than that. You're taking the weight down on your thighs or onto the table, and you're trying to rise the bone of the forearm up. Does anyone feel your upper arms change? That's part of the entwining of the fingers. So instead of taking dead weight into your base and headstand, it's enlightened weight. And that shows you where your whole body is. Good, and then release. Is anyone following me at all? Is this working at all for anybody? Yeah, it's effed up. You know what else is effed up? This actually freaking works. Somebody was here before us. Opened a whole bunch of doors, right? So now remember, you've got the forearm going up, and then he's telling you to take the wrist down as the forearm goes up, right? So instead of tilting, a lot of people in headstand, in traditional headstand, they let their hands kind of go out like this, and they roll it out, the wrists out, because they're taking weight. As soon as they do that, they make their subtle body twice as heavy. So he's telling you, make sure the wrists this comes out. This comes out, this goes in. So you go back to your legs or the table, right? You're pressing down on your forearms, you're flattening that bone up, but you're still putting your wrist down into the table. And you're entwining your fingers. Does anyone feel their whole body more? That's why you're not holding weight up in headstand. It's because the subtle body is already integrated with empty space. Breathe. Good, and then release. Try it again. So now we're going same old thing, except it's got so much complication, it's hard to know what to do. So the mind gets overwhelmed, right? So you do it again, and don't try to do it all individually. Try to just have it all happen. That's why you practice, so you don't have to think about it. It just gets to happen. So now what's difficult about headstand when you're doing it sitting up, when you're not upside down, is we have to do all this what we just did to fill the vessel. And we still have to direct energy from the head to the feet. So you're opening the doors with all this stuff, with the wrist coming down, the forearm going back, the intertwining, the lift of the chest. And now you got to give a direction down to your sitting bones. So I'm doing it with my hands up like this right now because I'm trying to get the energy to go down and out through my legs but I want to do all the entwining still, all this, all the same stuff. And it's a really good time for me to breathe. I'm building structure. Good, and then release. Now think about how complex that was. Now take your right arm up over your head, right? And you're supposed to, when I say stretch up to go down, I say stuff, and turn your tricep into your face, right? This turns in. Your shoulder blade goes down. You extend the arm up. And that's supposed to teach you headstand. Good, and then release. Right? Take the other arm up. So remember we'll just do it here again. We're layering in a whole bunch of instructions now, right? Down with the shoulder blade, stretch the arm up, but you're going up to feel the corridor down. If you let your tricep roll out, right, you lose the midline. That's why it's the instruction. Good, and then release. So, that Angar figures out the alignment instructions because his intelligence, the silence of his brain, the floor of his brain, has gone into the place where he can hear everything, right? And so when he's hearing everything, he says, oh, it must be the case that the tricep rolls in. Otherwise, there isn't as much union. Otherwise, I'm not feeling as much, right? Okay, so now both arms down. So now if you can do it, I'm going to do one at a time. I'm going to stay on balance. So now I've got my hand on the back of the head. I'm knowing that the whole point of this pose is to bring energy from head to my feet, right? If my elbow stays out, it's not the end of the world, but what if you entwined while you brought the elbow in? So instead of just like moving it in, you actually did all the stuff you're doing, you're entwining your fingers, right? And then you lengthen from here to here, and you're entwining the whole shoulder girdle to find your legs. Breathe. This is all to find your legs. Take your arms down. Take the other arm up. No, instead of just going, oh, I'll just throw it away, right? No, entwine everything as you rotate it in. And as it comes into place, you will naturally want to extend from your armpit to your elbow, right? Because you're entwining your way in. Good. And then release. Now do it if you can. I'm going to try to do it. I'll be off balance. I'm going to do it with both arms now. Okay. I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to entwining, right? I'm not just bringing them in. I'm using all my intelligence to find my legs. Lift the sternum, hit down to the sitting bones, extend from the inner groin to the inner knee to the inner heel. Breathe. Good. And then release. Wait, this isn't supposed to be so complicated. Inhale, take your right arm up. Exhale, revolve. We're taking a break, for God's sakes. That's too much. We're getting too focused into a little tiny room. But the little tiny room actually opens up the whole universe. That's the problem. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, revolve. There's no such thing as little tiny rooms in yoga. Right? Come back to center. Inhale. They all open to a bigger expanse, right? And then turn. So you're going like, okay, I'm back to where I'm not getting lost in there. Come back to center, right? So now we're going to have to take the arms over the head again if you can, right? Otherwise, do it on the table, right? But I want you to now entwine your fingers, bring it all in, and then take the forearms out. So I'm going to do it with one hand first. I'm just going to push on my forearm, right? With my other hand, I'm going to push, and I'm going to push up into that. That would have been the floor. Then I'm going to do it the other way, right? And then I'm going to do it and take the bone down while the wrist goes up, while I'm entwining, while I'm feeling through my torso down to my legs. Breathe. Good. And then release. Now we've done all this upper body stuff. What happened to the legs? How do you get the legs? All right, so I'm going to back up and I'm going to start going, yeah, here are my legs. Right? And I start rocking back. I'm going to push in on my knees. I'm going to like get my legs getting ready to receive. We did all this energy to move the energy through, right? But if it's empty space that's making us more intelligent, right? Then we need to get the lightness in the legs too, right? So I'm actually, because I can tell I'm super tight, before I do this, I'm gonna take my legs wide for a second. So I'm trying to open up the energy here, right? Because I want my lightness to receive all this extra tension in my arms from headstand, right? Remember, the neck is not supposed to compress. That's the advantage of doing it sitting up. You don't have weight on your head. Right. So I'm going to go off to the side a little bit because I'm still opening my energy. Right. So when the next headstand comes, I'm going to be more receptive in my entire body. I'm going to hear it with my ears, with my skin. I'm going to receive with the inner ear. I'm going to receive with my skin being an ear. I'm going to receive the pose. I'm not just going to do the pose. It's tricky. Good. Now coming back, I'm going to throw in a dog pose in here because why wouldn't I? I'm trying to prepare the vessel for an asana. So I'm hitting my sitting bones down. I'm lifting my chest. I'm opening my palms. And I'm spreading my fingers. I'm thinking, dang, that's really different than intertwining the base and headstand. I like it. I'm glad I get to do both. Breathe. Now I'm going to come back to the entwining. Here it comes. Can I receive it better? Can I make it whole and give it direction down through my sitting bones and my feet, to my feet? Where do I have to be? Where does my attention have to go? I'm moving energy down. Can't you see you'd want in order to move the energy down, can't you see that your neck has to be extended? Right? Then release for a second. If you were to take a 20-pound weight and put it on your head, can't you figure how that compression would flatten everything? So your neck has to be long even though you're on it. Right? Can anyone hear us building up to the instructions? Ears up, skull down. Do it in headstand. Remember, ears up, skull down from a couple of weeks ago made us all extend our neck. Must be in headstand too, right? What do you mean ears up, skull down? What the hell? This goes up, this goes the opposite direction, skull goes down, earth comes through the skull, air comes through the ears. Yeah. Lengthen your neck. Entwine your fingers. Lengthen your forearm, pull the bone back, bring the wrist forward, find the shoulder blades, hit down through the sitting bones, extend from the inner groin to the inner knee down to the heels, make it whole. Ears up, skull down, breathe. Good, and then release. Ooh, I better let the exhale happen now, right? Better let it kind of go. Oh. So we're going to do it again with less instruction. Do the best one you can right now. Good, and then release. So one of the things that I think I get shown by headstand, especially when I'm sitting up, is that all this entwining, all this focus makes my consciousness go into a singularity, into like a single point. But that single point can actually be part of the river of the direction of headstand. So the singularity actually can feed a direction. Doesn't make sense, but it kind of happens. Right? So as you get more focused and do all these things, and you prepare the riverbanks, there's still a direction in the pose. Try it again. Ears up, skull down. Earth to your legs. Good, and then release. What the heck? Shake it out. Right? Let your arms kind of, right? Because the other one is some shoulder stand, right? So take one arm behind you. Right? So this action of getting this open from here to here, right? here to here, is part and parcel of the queen of all yoga poses, right? Go the other way. And wait, you drop the chin too. You submerge the energy of the brain into the center of the chest. Good, and then release. Things about an inversion is that then it's reversed. Instead of submerging the brain down, the chest rises. If you're on your shoulders, right, it would be reversed in space, but the action would be the same, right? All right, take the first arm behind you again, right? And we're trying to, I push it in my spine, so my spine doesn't fall back into my pose, it comes forward. But if we were upside down, we'd be putting our hands on our back and pushing our ribcage in anyway. Remember, we're trying to focus on being able to extend from here to here, right? Drop the shoulder blade down to find the legs. Now drop the chin down. Feel an expansion of your rib cage and feel where your legs are, and then release. Right, so now we gotta do the other side. So I don't know about you, but I encounter how different the tightness is in each shoulder. They're very different, right? And so I have to respect that they're different, not try to make them the same, right? And then figure out how to have it without violence. I have to be careful here on this left side. My bicep tendon's super cranky. So I'm gonna, if I lift my chest, it gets worse. So I have to open the skin between my shoulder blades before I drop my chin. I need not be sloppy. Good, and then release. But remember, the energy in the direction of shoulder stand is upward, but it's through the legs, right? So again, let's do some things to find where the legs are, right? Because they have to receive this direction from the bandha, right? So you're trying to get your legs to be open again, right? And go back and forth. And I want the space in here. So again, I'm just trying to prepare my body to be a better receiver of the prana. And to be the better receiver of the prana, right? The empty spaces have to have intelligence, right? The brain has to descend. The lower floor of the brain has to descend, right? Isn't it interesting? Shavasana is a way to get intelligence into your pose, right? Or the empty spaces. I'm going wide again. All this stuff, trying to when I go into shoulder stand, I want all this stuff to be a better receiver. You and I don't get to do as much. So that means we have to be even better receivers. Right? All right, so now I'm gonna take both arms behind me. Right, instead of trying to get as far behind my back, I'm going behind the seat of my chair. But maybe you can easily go behind your back and not fall over. I can't. So I'm wedging my arm inside my wheel, right? And I'm trying to figure out how to get my chest open. Wait, you mean there's cat-cow right here? Yeah. Right? And I'm fused in my upper thoracic, so I can't bend my upper thoracic very well. But damn, I wish it could open more. So I'm going to try to open the skin. Remember, it's a giant ear. I'm trying to open this skin to be in different contact with the space around it. Right? So I'm broadening and taking my shoulders back. But I could just take my shoulders back, or I could use my skin, entwine the skin. When I go to entwine my skin to broaden across here, important things happen between my shoulder blades. And when that happens, I can feel my legs more. And then what? And then release. So don't try to engage your shoulder between your shoulder blades on the back body. Just pull your shoulders back and ask if you felt your legs. No, it's just an action. And use the skin. Open across here by entwining and unifying, right? And using the skin to open. And when that happens, more attention happens at the seat of consciousness between your shoulder blades. And that allows you to feel your legs. So as you have more of your body opening your chest, hang there for a while and take a few breaths. Good, and then release. I'm starting to lose feeling one of my fingers, so I'm undoing it because that's big on my thoracic junction. So I'm going to take a little break here. I'm going to do it again in a second. I'm going to go back again behind me. Right? I'm going to figure out. So now I'm going to broaden and open. I could have just said, hey, extend from here to here and from here to here. That'd be a beginning structure. I'm trying to entwine something and open. Notice what it does to the muscles between the shoulder blades. Feel your sitting bones. Now, make it an inversion by dropping your chin. Submerge the energy of the brain into the center of the chest. As the center of the chest keeps lifting, feel your sitting bones, feel your feet. Breathe. Good, and then release. Take your arms out. Ooh. Just want to get bigger for a second. Feel like I was trapped in there for a little bit. So when people sometimes belt their arms together in shoulder stand, in additional shoulder stand, some people can't do it because they feel entrapped by it. I get that. I can see why that would feel that way, right? When I don't have arms, when I'm just my spine, it's kind of funky. I'm just going to sit here again and breathe. Good. So now, although I've got arms, I'm going to go to the outside into a twist, but I'm going to twist as if I don't have arms. Okay, so I'm going to do it much more from the spine. I'm not just going to pull myself around. I could do that. I could use leverage, or I could entwine and make the twist happen from a deeper sense of earth. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, revolve. The inversion is here in this twist. Good, and then release. The apana is part of the twist. When people try to crank twists, they forget the downward part. Other arm up. So I could just throw it away and pretend it doesn't matter. I could entwine everything. Last week I was talking about like move the empty space with you, trying to get you to entwine with the empty space, right? But as I move, now I want to twist with my spine, not just pull with my limbs. Right? So Iyengar usually tries to get you to do this with a lot of will. He'll say, auger your spine down. He'll say, push your sitting bones down and your tailbone up to your mouth. But I kind of want it to be more graceful than that. I want to use the entwining energy to revolve my spine. And then when my spine leads the twist, then I can add the leverage of my arms if I want to. Good, and then come on back to center. One more. So last time I tried to say, like, bring the space with you. Now I want you to stay inside and entwine the movement. Make it more whole. Grab. Move the spine by entwining the skin as you turn, right? Remember, you're listening with your skin. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. And he'll say all the intelligence enters the asana through the skin, right? There's an inversion here. There's a rise here, and there's a twist here. Good. And then come on back to center. When I see all of those layers, I lose the spit in my mouth. My mouth gets dry. That means I'm on to something for me, right? So I'm entwining before I'm cranking, right? I'm having my spine from being entwined with my skin, my muscles going in service. Then if I want to, I can crank the twist with leverage. But I want it to feed the entwining sensation. I want to get the rise and the movement of energy from my head down to my feet as I'm rising up. What? Ears up, skin, skull down? What the hell's going on here? Good, and then come on back to center. Be in the center. Get light again. Right? Start moving around. A little downward facing dog, because why wouldn't we? Lengthen your spine, hit your sitting bones down, lift your chest. From that energy of extension, ears up, skull down, find your legs. Breathe. When you start to see, and then release, when you start to see the poses from your spine first, the appendages moving kind of seems superfluous, right? So I'm coming forward now to do more of an overt downward facing dog. When I do it on the table, I tend not to take my arms wide enough, but right. So now I'm forward, but I'm wanting to do this from this sense of my spine entwining with my skin, with my receptive part. So then, of course, my shoulder blades would go down. I'd spread between my shoulder blades. I'd lift my sternum to find my sitting bones. Remember, dog pose is one of the first inversions. Breathe, but I'm entwining. I'm bringing my muscles and everything in service of the spine and the skin. Breathe. And then release. Just have if you're open to it, it's not too much. Like I want to open and back bend a little bit. Don't worry about taking your head back. Right? So and then come forward. So in this sensation edition of what it means to entwine, which I don't quite know what it means all the way, but I can kind of practice it. But now I'm being a yogi and I'm practicing it in every pose, not just headstand. So now as I go into this little back bend, I'm going to think, what would it be to entwine the back bend instead of just go over the back of my chair? As I come into it, how would I have my spine entwine with my skin staying receptive to the space around it as I back bend up and over the chair? Huh. Good. Now lean forward, put your forearm across your thighs, and with your right hand, grab your left knee. So I'm already starting to twist. I'm forward here. When you're forward with gravity, it's easier to entwine, right? So get everything to do that as you turn, as you twist just a little bit, right? If you want to open, you can take your chin up a little bit, but reach with your skin, not your head. If you lift your chin, it's to open your chest. Breathe. Good. And then uncoil. Come out of it. Come forward again. Put your forearm across. If I grab your left hand to your right knee, right? as you're forward, entwine to twist. Right? Bring everything in service of it. Spine to skin. Be in the whole room. Can you see why you wouldn't want to close your eyes all the time in yoga poses? You'd miss the world. But you want to keep the brain separate from the color coming to your eyes. Right? You don't want to get caught up. You want to keep the intelligence in the silent place. And then move a little bit. All right, so feel from side to side, because you're going to want Shavasana to land in symmetry. So whatever you need to do to create a sense of both sides. You know, it's not like most of us didn't grow with like one arm or one leg, right? We grew from the spine to mirror each side, maybe to stay on balance. Yeah. All right, and then start to let the chair seep into you, into your hump. Let it hold you up. So there's a lightness in Shavasana. Let that lightness relax your skin. It's easy to do it on the face at first, forehead, around the temples. But remember, all the organs of perception are separate and the same. Keep the ears receptive. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. Feel your skin. Let the chair hold you up. Stay sensitive. Listen with all of your skin. Let the chair hold you up. Feel your breath. Don't change it. Thank you. Thank it again. Start to bring yourself back. Slightly deeper inhalation. Slightly longer exhalation. Thank your body. It literally brings you life. When you're ready, open your eyes. Let the light in. Close them if you want to. Try again. Just notice your breath. Remember one time I heard the instruction that every single, I heard him say this one time, that every skin cell has a set of eyes that looks outward and the set of eyes that look inward. So as you sit here at the end of class, after you've had maybe some of that more subtle intelligence flow through your body, let there be eyes on the inside and eyes on the outside. The eyes on the inside don't see images, they feel something. That's what things on the outside are. They're sensations. Huh. All right, everybody. Hands together. Namaste. The spirit in me bows the spirit in you. Om.